It's been the Chrissy holidays and New Year's as well, and we actually spent that with my dad interstate this year, and that meant leaving the property for a couple of weeks. And it's quite a big deal to be able to leave a property like this where you've got stock and animals and lots of gardens and things to be looked after as well. And for quite a few years, we were not able to leave the property because we didn't have things set up, but we have got things set up now. And we've trialed a lot of different things over the years as well. So I thought in this video, I'd share a little bit with you guys on how we are able to go away for the longer periods of time now from the homestead. G'day there, it's Rachel here from Bush Edge Homesteading Australia, and I have found a bit of a shadier spot to sit now just to have a bit of a chat with you guys about being able to go away from the property. Now we've been away for a couple of weeks now over the break just to visit my dad, which was wonderful. We go and kind of camp up on part of the property that was the family farm for quite a few generations. And we also had a bit of a chance to explore a little bit of the Yorke Peninsula this time as well, so that was great fun. But we got back yesterday and we got back kind of late in the day. I haven't had a chance to do a good walk around yet, so that's actually one of the things that we're going to do together. And we'll have a look at a few things because I was getting a few messages from the lady that was looking after our place while we were away, and there were a few problems that happened, so we'll go have a bit of a look at those. And also I just need to kind of check out the gardens and kind of where we're at with animal food and all of that sort of stuff as well. But in this video, I did want to talk a little bit about being able to go away from the property before we go and have our bit of a walk around, because it is something that can be quite challenging when you are on a property, particularly with like stock, or if you've got like poultry, gardens that need to be maintained and looked after. It's one of those things that can actually bind you to the property until you find ways to be able to get away. And over the years we have trialed lots of different things, and we have come up with an approach now that does allow us to get away. So I'll kind of start back at when we moved here, and we started getting the stock for this place. We had the chickens and ducks and the like at that stage as well. We only kind of had started putting in gardens, so they weren't too much of an issue, but there were some young fruit trees and stuff that needed watering. For the first couple of years, we honestly didn't really get away because we found that it was too hard. We didn't have anyone kind of local to us that we knew that would be able to come and look after things. So for a little while, we actually really didn't go away, except for some one-off kind of overnighters where we'd use things like the grandpa's feeder, and I'll show you that down the bottom, where we were confident to put out enough food and water and stuff that, the animals we knew would be okay for a couple of days. But then we started using some services that I found online, and there's a couple of these now, like the Lonely Pets Club. Sorry, that's the kiwi fruit on my head. Let me get that out of the way. So there's a couple like, the Lonely Pets Club that we used, where you basically have like a listing of people that register with them, and they do like drop-in type visits, and that allowed us to be able to go away for more days. And we basically set everything up, and I'll show you again like kind of how we set things up when we go away, when we walk around. So you would kind of like set everything up to make it as easy as possible for those people. They'd come in each day, you pay a certain amount. They do drop-in type visits to feed your animals, and sometimes they'll do things like bring your letters in and stuff like that as well, so it doesn't look like you're away. But it can be a little bit complicated when you're on a bigger property like this, because people are often not confident with things like sheep. They could do dogs and cats and all that sort of stuff, but as soon as you start saying poultry and sheep and those types of things, and also having big gardens that might need some watering, because often these people do a little bit of watering and stuff too, but once you're at that sort of scale, you may find someone, but you also may not. And with those organisations, you get a lot of turnover of people as well. So we had a few people that we tried through them. One lady we actually ended up with for quite a few years, and she was absolutely amazing. There was a couple of bad experiences that we had as well, but it still doesn't really allow you to go away for decent amounts of time, and you know, you do really pay through a lot of those services as well, but it does give you that bit of ability to go away if you're the sort of person that likes getting away camping and stuff like that we do. And then we found another lady after a bad experience with one of those organisations, and for a while we actually didn't go away after that bad experience, but we found a lady after that, and she had her own company up here in the Dandenong Ranges, and she was the most beautiful woman. She would come in, her and her family as well, look after the animals and look after the plants. I have so many beautiful pictures of my animals from that period of time because she just absolutely loved them so much. You know, she was the right sort of person to do that sort of job. But again, drop-in type visits where you pay a certain amount of money each day. And then we had one very, very sad day where she actually got into a different line of work and stopped doing that. We, at that time, weren't sure who to use, but then she actually suggested a lady that she uses herself. And that lady is the lady that we use today. And that is an older lady, and she has been living here for the last couple of weeks. So she does things a little bit different, where she comes and she actually stays in your house and looks after everything while we're away. And that gives us the confidence to go away for much longer periods of time. And my family is interstate. It's a 2-day drive to be able to get to where the family farm is. So, you know, when you're driving 2 days to get there and 2 days to get back, you want to be able to spend a decent amount of time there as well. So having a live-in property sitter has been an absolute blessing for us. Now, obviously, that requires you finding someone that you are absolutely confident in, because that person is going to be living in your home. There are some online services, again, that do that sort of thing. Many years ago, we actually used one of those when we did a very big trip around Australia, and we actually left the property for 4 months, and that was back when I had my long service leave. We caravanned around Australia, and we actually had a lady live in our house for 4 months, and that was through one of those services called I think it was Aussie House Sitters. And when we went through them, there's like agreements and stuff that you can put in place with the person. With that person, you know, we didn't pay because they wanted somewhere to live for a longer period of time. And basically it was like a bit of a service for them being able to stay here rent-free. And she actually covered her utilities as well when she was here for that very long period of time. So that actually worked out okay. But again, you've got to get the right sort of person. The person we had then probably wasn't so au fait with being able to look after a rural property. You know, she did all the things that needed to be done, but when we got back, you know, there was like grass, you know, I felt like it was up to my waist, you know, gardens out of control and stuff like that. Whereas the lady that we have now that lived in the property over the last couple of weeks and does whenever we go away now, she actually grew up on a farm, and she grew up with sheep. She knows how to look after them, how to, you know, feed them. She's confident with the poultry. You know, you come back, and we've had some horrendous weather while we've been away, and the gardens are looking absolutely amazing. So that's basically where we've settled now. She has kind of flagged with us though that in years ahead that she might be going travelling herself, so that might change. But yeah, for now, it's been an absolute blessing having her look after the property. Now, we did get a few calls while we were away that there were some problems. In fact, the first 3 days, I think it was the first 3 or 4 days, like it was almost a call a day, that there was actually some pretty horrendous weather and then some really bizarre events as well that happened. So what we'll do is we'll go for a bit of a walk around. I do need to check things. I'm going to take you with me as I check things, and I'll show you what happened. It's very bizarre, one of these. All right, I'm going to start off just having a bit of a quick look around the garden. Everything has taken off hugely. We had some absolutely hot weather while we're away. And this is a great example of how amazingly she looks after things. I'm not sure if you saw that video I made. That was the end of year catch up, and we did that right before going away. I showed my son's corn. Look how big they've got. So she's been watering amazingly, and with the hot weather that we've had, they have absolutely taken off, as has all the sweet potato. That's almost like a carpet of sweet potato now. And what's really cool is we're just starting to get the pumpkin vines going up over the arch. Now, a lot of the things she did mention to me have started going to seed, and you can see that here. So that there is kind of like the silver beet and the beautiful carrot seeds that will come on soon. I'm just letting those go because I am going to harvest the seeds off of those. And well, it looks like all our raspberries are... Oh no, I thought they were done, but look at that. There is a few more going to come through. There's no red ones on there at the moment, but looks like there's a few more that we will get. This is exciting. You know the dahlias that we planted together? I am finally starting to get the first blooms, so that's really exciting that I am back in time to be able to enjoy the first blooms. Look at this. Oh, this is my first look at these, so... Oh, look. How beautiful is that? Oh, look at this one. Oh my goodness, they are so gorgeous. I was really, really hoping that they wouldn't bloom and then I'd miss them. They are so gorgeous. These ones, still nothing. They've still got a little way to go, but that is so cool to be able to come home and appreciate those. Oh, whoa. Tomatoes. There is a lot in here. Let me come around here so hopefully you can get a better view. These are the green and black ones, and there is a lot on there. Now, I am not sure when this one will be ready because I've never grown this variety before, so I might actually need to do a bit of a test of one of the bigger ones later. I am going to bring out the harvest basket with the kids in a little bit. They're just kind of doing showers and all that sort of stuff, having breakfast, and then they're going to come out and help. Hubby's actually run out because, of course, when you're away, you do need some provisions when you get back. So he's gone out to get all the important, like bread and milk and all those sorts of things that we need as well. Wowzers. All right, so it looks like the cucumbers have really taken off while we're away as well. And I can see there's lots of cucumbers in there to be picked. The coriander well and truly has all gone to seed. Do need to collect that as well. Now you can see here, let's see if I can zoom out a bit. This area of dahlias looks like it's been absolutely smashed. When we were away, we had some really, really big winds, and some of the damage we got is actually as a result of that. So yeah, it's probably not too surprising that these have been belted around a little bit as well. So it was good that I actually managed to get this up just before I left, and it has given them a little bit of support. See, now the wonderful lady that looked after our place was so lovely. She actually thought Cooper was staying here, but we took him with us. She bought him a toy, so he's enthralled by his new toy at the moment. There you go, Coops. As I said, it's pretty special when you find someone that is just the right person to look after your property and your animals. Ooh, wowzers. Zucchini. Get that in there. That is pretty much perfect for the picking. And tomatoes have really started filling out. Ooh, and it even looks like we've got a bit of red in here as well. Oh dear. No. Not sure if you can see that. I suspect the possums have found our tomatoes. That one looks good. Come and pick that one a little bit later before the possums get stuck into that one. But yeah, not too much red yet, but everything seems to be growing well. The pumpkins have all taken off. Oh, the sunflowers. How are we going with the beans? Oh, it looks like the sunflowers have also really been hit by that wind. But you can see the beans that we're trellising up those sunflowers. They have started really climbing up now. That's really awesome. But it doesn't look like these ones have started producing beans quite yet. Alright. Let's have a looky in here. Jeepers. Hubby's pineapple is getting bigger. Ooh. Looks like we've got a bit of an issue with bugs going on in the greenhouse. Now, we put the irrigation in just before we left, and that is something a little bit different to normal, because I normally hand water and I water around the bases of everything, and I wonder if having the watering system is leading to a bit of an influx of bugs. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it looks like we've got both aphids and whitefly. Oh goodness. All right, I'm gonna have a bit of a chat to hubby, and yeah, I will probably use a bit of pyrethrum, I think, to deal with something as extreme as this. It's, yeah, really very infested, and I might go back to just the hand watering for a little bit as well. But there is some signs of some nice big capsicums starting to come through in there. Unfortunately, also a bit of evidence that we've had some issues with slugs. Okay, so I'm going to have to pick a few of those off later too. Now, most of these kind of leafy greens are well and truly going to seed now. I'll leave those because I will collect the seed. Whoa! Check out the beans! And one of the little squash as well, but yeah, when I come down with the boys a little bit later, we'll definitely be doing a huge pick of beans. So I'll probably end up with enough to put a bunch of these in the freezer. Normally just kind of pop them in containers or Ziploc bags and leave them largely whole, just kind of top them, and we freeze those for winter stews. Oh, this one's really grown well as well. Oh, way more beans in here. All the herbs that I popped in here are doing all right. Chilies are doing well. Oh goodness. In that end of year catch-up video that we did, we showed you a big zucchini, and it looks like this plant has done it almost the same again. Look at that. On that video, a couple of people suggested stuffing it, and I love doing stuffed zucchinis. So yeah, I think we might do it with that one. Or we could even do it with this one. Look, there's another one in here. Check that out. Yep. Okay, we're going to be eating a bit of zucchini. Zucchini and lots of beans as well. So that's pretty much it for the garden. It's now time to go check the animals. Now, before we went away, we filled up the shed with an excess of food. I think the sheep think I'm going to feed them because I've just opened the food shed. But it's always a good thing just to make sure that if someone is looking after your property, that there is plenty of feed. Like for me, I always buy way in excess because we want to make sure that they're not going to run out of food while we're away. And, you know, that also the person looking after them doesn't feel like they're rationing things. So, yeah, we got plenty left over. Alrighty. There you go. Ooh, the lambs have grown too. Now you can probably hear in the background that there's a fair bit of sound of chainsawing going on. The reason there's so much chainsawing going on around here at the moment is because while we're away, one of the things that happened was quite a big windstorm. Yes, I know it looks like the ram was not in a good way there, but that's how he sleeps. I think it's a bit awkward with the big horns like that on the Wiltshire horns. Morning, Rambo. All right. Time to check Falcatraz. And this is where, I'm trying to think if it was the first issue. Yeah, I think it was the first issue that occurred. And that was in that big windstorm where we also had a branch go down. And of course, when a branch goes down and you're not here, it's going to be in the most inconvenient spot. Now, as I mentioned, the lady that looks after our place, she is extremely handy, but she is also a bit of an older lady. So this one was kind of a bit beyond her to be able to fix up. So this is where the branch came down. And yeah, she ended up contacting us to say a branch had come down. She sent us a picture and it had pushed down this fencing at the back, and she was quite concerned that the foxes would be able to get in. And from past experience, yes, when a branch comes down, the foxes will get in almost immediately. So what hubby had to do was contact his cousin, who thankfully was able to pop by. And what he's done is he's actually cut down that branch. You can kind of see the bits on the other side as well. And he's propped, I should say, the fence up with this piece of wood here, which has been a good temporary fix, but that is something that hubby's going to have to fix up now. We'll need to retension that top wire and just kind of fix up the wire on that 90-degree bend as well, because that's pretty important just to stop the foxes from getting in over the top. But yeah, the temporary fix has done the trick. It was very handy that he was able to get his cousin over to fix that up, and that is something that is worth thinking about when you are going away. If something does go wrong, do you have people that are kind of like the emergency contacts that can deal with stuff like this? Because you just never know what's going to happen whilst you're away. You might have family, you might not have family, and if you don't, do you have the numbers of maybe some trusted people that you might use as contractors around the place as well? Yeah, so anyway, that's one job, and that was the first thing that went wrong. Now, as for the chickens, this is the grandpa feeder that I was telling you about. So basically with this, you put a whole bunch of food in the top, and I can see she's filled that, so I'm not going to have to fill that for a while, which is wonderful. So that gets filled, and it's a treadle feeder, so the chickens come along, they stand on that, and they're able to eat the food out of there. And with the 4 chickens, that can last up to a week, depending on what time of the year it is and how much they're eating. Yeah, so that's awesome. I'm not going to have to do anything with that. Ooh, I will get the boys to come back down and collect the eggs. So we've already got 3 today, and we'll probably just need to clean out a bit of poop and just top up with the pine shavings. Awesome. So that's pretty much it for the chickens. What was the next thing I needed to check? Oh yeah, we need to go up to the deck, and I'll show you what happened there. So awkward. Now the next thing that went wrong is with the vertical planters that we have, and that is why this is sitting here, this one. It's actually propping up these top 2 layers. Now while I was away, there was a huge windstorm, and because we've got a lot of leafy material on the top, it actually blew over, and the top 2 blew off, and that pulled this piping out. In fact, it looks like I've got a bit of a drip I need to deal with there as well, and it wasn't running at all. So this was actually something I tended to immediately last night, and what had happened is this pipe here had actually pulled up as this had all kind of come off, and it had actually pulled up off of the pump that is in the bottom part here. So what hubby and I had to do last night was actually take all of these layers off and then basically refix this to the pump in the bottom. But this morning's really the first chance for it to start running again. There's not a lot of sun about at the moment, so I really am only going to see how it's going once it's nice and bright, but I can see there's some water going through that one. What about this one? Oh yeah, I reckon we fixed that. But I do need to think about how we kind of grow and secure this from now on, because we do get some big winds here at times, and I definitely don't want this falling down again. What I definitely need to do is not grow big bulky things like this again on top. So that one there was a patio tomato. I thought that would be good, but yeah, it seems even that might be just a little bit too bulky for these. Despite the fact that it broke, we still are getting some nice red tomatoes, and the property sitter has actually managed to keep it alive just by hand watering, which is amazing considering how hot it has been. Like, there were days up in the 40s while we were away apparently, so given that it hasn't had the nutrient going through it all, it is pretty cool that that is still all alive. Inside there's a lot to be done as well. Mountain of washing to get through. Started that last night, but still got lots to work through there. And there's things like the ginger bug that I need to pull out of the fridge and give a feed. So before I left, I did kind of fill this right up, and I still see there was a few bubbles when I moved that around, which is good, which means even after a couple of weeks in the fridge, it's still alive. But what I need to do is decant out some of the liquid and give that a feed with some ginger and also some sugar. Okay, so all I'm doing is just the normal feeding of the ginger bug, but what I am going to do that's a little bit different is I am going to filter out some of this liquid. Normally the liquid is what I would use to put straight into the sodas, but because I don't really have time to do a soda right now, I'm not sure if you could see when I took the lid off that, lots of bubbles. So even though I've left this 2.5 weeks, this is a nice active ginger bug. I have left it up to 6 weeks before, not recommended, but when you do put it in the fridge, it slows down the fermentation, so you can kind of get away with it a bit more. But as I was saying, what I'm going to do is make a mess apparently, but also just take some of this liquid off, because what I find is it can get a bit alcoholic when you do leave it a long period of time, so I do want to refresh it. But that liquid there will be good for making a soda, so if I get a bit of a second wind later today, I might actually use that to make some soda. For now, I'm just going to stick this excess ginger in. You've seen some of my other videos perhaps where I actually keep the excess ginger, pop it in the freezer, and you can use it for cooking and stuff. But again, I'm just trying to keep things quick today. So I'm just going to pop the fresh ginger in with some of that older ginger. All that in there, get that back down, and we'll need a bit of sugar as well. Given I've been away for a while, might just do 1.5. And what's going to be really important is getting some fresh water in here as well. So as always, non-chlorinated when you're doing your ginger bug. And once I've got the water in, that can go back in the fridge. All right, I'm going to take you to the front and show you the other thing, which is the most bizarre that happened while we were away. Check out the bananas. They did amazingly while we were away. But this over here is kind of the third thing she called up and mentioned had happened while we were away. Not sure if you can see on the window here. That there is a big crack going all the way up my window. And that there randomly happened because apparently there was 2 magpies fighting and they flew into the window. There was already a bit of a damaged spot you can kind of see there, but yeah, random stuff happens whilst you're away. And I think that was about the 3rd or 4th day, and there was the 3 things that all kind of happened in succession, and I was like, oh my goodness. Surely nothing else can go wrong. Well, thankfully things did only come in 3s, and that was the final thing that did go wrong whilst we were away. So yeah, we're gonna have to get a glazier out to fix that one. That one is definitely beyond our abilities to repair, but hubby will deal with the fence. Looks like we've already fixed the vertical planter, so yeah, that will be the 3rd one to have to deal with. So yeah, random things can sometimes happen. And yeah, Murphy's Law, it happens while you're away. But anyway, those things will all be able to be fixed. And we had an amazing time away seeing my family. So yeah, that was definitely still well worth going away. Anyway, guys, hopefully you've enjoyed hearing a little bit about how we are able to go away from the property and what we've come back to after this trip as well. And as always, thanks a bunch for joining. Catch you later. So you want to pick the big zucchini?
Yeah. Oh, bees don't want to make them upset. Just be calm. Calm ya. Oh. I don't like zucchini, so yeet.
No! Do you want to grab the cucumbers too? There's a funny one in here. Have you seen this one? It's growing in the wire. Oh, goodness. The prickly ones. Now, as for these tomatoes, I really don't know when they are ready. So I'm going to find one of the bigger ones. Ooh. So something's already had a nibble at that one. So I might pick that one. Oh, sorry guys. We might cut into that and see if it's ready. Not a bad basket considering we've been away. Just a couple of tomatoes, heaps of cucumbers and zucchini, squash, and what did you get?
Beans.
And those ones are all going to go in the freezer.